Put your faith in the light.
Hello guys, welcome to another one of my videos. This is Lightblade. In this one I wanted to talk about how is Red after recent changes that Blizzard made. A lot of people say they were nerfs, but in terms of Mythic Plus they were actually huge buffs. I'll also be giving you guys a build that you can use to test out Retribution for yourself in the beta. To help with this, I have a full run of Necrotic Wake plus 10 that I will do with commentary. At the end, the overall from this will also help us to see the impact of the changes. And well, with that being said, let's go into the build. Okay guys, so these are the talents that we're going to be using on this plus 10 Necrotic Wake. By the way, any talents that we talk about here will be down in the description of the video. So the main build that I used here and also an alternative version that you can use that does a bit more single target. On the general side of the Paladin tree, there's not much to talk about here. This is just a standard Retribution Paladin setup. The only thing of notice is that we're gonna be taking Divine Purpose instead of Venge for Wrath. This is totally a preference choice by myself. I really enjoy playing with Divine Purpose and the reactive gameplay that it gives you. It's also a lot more useful in AoE situations than Venge for Wrath is, because you very rarely press Hammer of Wrath in those AoE packs, because you're better off pressing, let's say, a Blade of Vengeance that is going to apply Expurgation dot on your targets and keep that dot stacking up. The only reason to press Hammer of Wrath in those situations would be if you have a Blessing of Anshe and the target is low, because Blessing of Anshe gives it 200% more damage. But the good part of Venge for Wrath, it does help you with single target bosses, and priority targets. So either or option is good. On the Retribution side of the talent tree, we're gonna go with a Crusade Radiant Glory build. This is because we're playing Herald of the Sun, and Herald of the Sun has a lot more synergy with the Crusade extra haste than it has with the Avenging Rat Might critical strikes. This is mostly because of the dot heavy nature of Herald of the Sun, and also some of the dots from it don't crit. Like the main dot downlights don't do anything with critical strike. They basically do not crit, and they do get amplified by the haste of Crusade, giving them more ticks of damage, which is really good. Also, Crusade Radiant Glory gives you a longer window of wings. It gives you 10 seconds with your Wake of Ashes and 5 seconds on a proc instead of just 8 seconds with Wake of Ashes and 4 seconds on a proc of normal wings. Other talent of notice, we're gonna be going with Imperial Legacy. You're gonna notice that we have like one flex point that you can put anywhere else. You can put it here in Judge, Jury, and Executioner. You can put it in Imperial Legacy. If you were feeling like a bit adventurous, you can also put it on Divine Hammers, although sometimes it's hard to keep up that. For this build, we're just gonna keep it on Imperial Legacy because it does have a nice synergy with Radiant Glory. Since Imperial Power, whenever you throw a Judgment, you get your next single target Holy Power ability empowered with a Divine Storm that does extra damage. That counts as 2 Holy Power spenders, so sometimes it can help you proc your Radiant Glory to get those extra Crusade windows. As for the rest of the talent tree on the Retribution side, we're just gonna use a standard like AoE setup for Mythic Plus dungeons, but you can do some changes to make it a bit more single target friendly. So this is the main build. It's gonna be in the description of the video, but if you want to go for a more single target setup, these are the changes that you should do. Okay, this is basically the same build, but now you do a bit more single target. The changes are to Venge for Wrath instead of Divine Purpose. This is going to give you a better execute on boss targets because they're going to take a lot more damage from your Hammer of Wrath whenever they are low health. The synergizes, like I said before, really well with Blessing of Anshe. It's just going to make you do 250% extra damage on low health targets with your Hammer of Wrath, which is pretty powerful. On the side of the Retribution Paladins, the changes that we made is that we're going to use Divine Arbiter instead of Syrian Light now, and we're going to use Execution Sentence instead of Final Reckoning. So you can find this build as well down in the description of the video. Now, with this being said, let's go into the run. Okay guys, here we are with the run. So first thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna check our stats whenever they get updated with the dungeon key. We're gonna drink a flask of mastery. I think mastery is really powerful. It gives you a ton of stats, so we want to do that. Now the tank is going to do a pretty big pull here. We're gonna start our rotation by throwing a Blade of Justice, Judgment, after that Wake of Ashes, and keep building our stacks. After we get like 4 to 7 stacks, we're gonna drop our Divine Toll plus Final Reckoning and just start blasting the pack with just our AoE Holy Power spenders. You're gonna see that the pack is going to get melted, And well, I recommend you guys to spam that Blade of Justice as if it owes you money, because it does a ton of damage now after the buffs that Blizzard made it in AoE. Divine Storm also, you know, Divine Storm Blade of Justice, Divine Storm Blade of Justice should be your most like optimal gameplay. Weave in those judgments in between to get those extra debuffs on your targets from the judgment. After that, we fight this pack, which is a pretty simple one. Just have to look at those harvesters so they don't drain fluids from someone, because they stun them for a very long period of time. Just keep doing your normal AoE rotation. This dungeon is pretty fun to play as a Retribution Paladin. I think it's a very good dungeon to showcase everything that we can do, because it does have a lot of types of fights. You know, there's a lot of AoE encounters, AoE packs, then there's packs that are only like 5 targets, especially on the Necropolis area where you fight 5 things mostly at a time. The boss encounters also are like a single target boss fight with some adds. The second boss fight is also a single target with some adds that you have to destroy. The third boss is 2 target cleave for the most part, and the last one is like pure single targets. So yeah, it has a lot of variety on the encounters you can find here. Okay, we're gonna fight this. I almost died there because I got hit by too many of those throw flesh things. Just keep interrupting the drain fluids so they don't stun your party, and you should be fine. As you can see, the rotation is very fluid. Wings happen a lot, and it's pretty fun to get them. You know, it's basically like we were back in BFA with Visions of Perfection. I really enjoy this playstyle a lot. One thing I wanted to talk about also is the extensions. You know, sometimes you are gonna get your Crusade small proc, and you're gonna have your Wake of Ashes available. Oh, I almost died there. So you're gonna have your Wake of Ashes available. So what I recommend doing there is using the small proc of Crusade, building up to 4 to 7 stacks of Crusade, and at the last second you throw your Wake of Ashes. That way you extend the Crusade, and you don't have to start with your Wake of Ashes from 0 stacks. You can start from 7. That gives you a lot more time. For example, if you have also your Final Reckoning and Divine Toll available, to also empower those abilities with 10 stacks of Crusade. That's the gist of this build for the most part. You know, try to find and react to those Crusade windows that you can actually improve, you know, optimize. Other than that, this boss is pretty simple. We just try to aim the frontal behind you, so you can, those worms don't insta kill you because they hit you two times and you kind of die here. You might notice that there's a lot of danger in these Mythic Plus dungeons. A lot of the bosses do a lot of one-shotty stuff. It is pretty. You get hit by something and you know you got hit. You always have to press the defensive here. For example, on the bread part, as a red paladin, sometimes you can get away with not pressing anything. Like there, for example, I got hit by mistake, but for the most part you should be pressing the defensive. And yeah, this boss fight is pretty simple, just a kind of single target with a bit of cleave. You can see the Arcane Mage is just destroying the meters here. They do a lot of single target damage. They are also, I think, one of the classes that can like funnel or something. I don't know what he did, but he disappeared the first pack of worms with the boss. So yeah, they do a ton of damage. Our single target is not too bad, you know, you're kind of fine there, just doing our thing. But Retribution Paladin's focus is mostly on AoE and Mythic Plus dungeons. I think one thing I say a lot is focus on your strengths. You know, don't want to, you can do single target damage, but if your strength is doing AoE, just focus on that. You know, with the changes that Blizzard made to Mythic Plus dungeons, both AoE and single target are going to be needed to complete a dungeon, because we're gonna fight with both Tyrannical and Fortified on plus 12 level keys. So yeah, you know, probably the group compositions are gonna be of 2 people that can do AoE and 1 guy that can do priority damage, or something like that, you know, depending on the dungeon. Maybe there's 2 people that do priority damage and there's 1 guy that does max AoE, something like that. So there's always going to be room for a class like Retribution Paladin that just blasts in AoE damage. We're also pretty sturdy even after the nerfs that Blizzard did to general survivability of classes. We're still pretty good, you know, we still have a lot of tools to defend ourselves. Herald is a bit more squishy than Templar for that, you know. Herald has more of a reactive healing nature of its defensives. You recover well, but the problem is you don't have too much like preventative damage reductions. While for example Templar does have the Imperial Hammer 5% damage less taken, and even though they nerfed Sacrosanct Crusade on Templar, it's still a good preventative measure, you know. Herald is more it tends to get hurt more, and if you survive the hit you can recover, but if you don't, you just get one shot, you know. Anyways, we keep doing this key. I didn't know we could actually skip this pack, you know. I thought you needed like a Warlock Gate or something. I think we actually use a Warlock Gate here. But you can actually skip it if we just hug that little tent thingy. Just hug it close to the wall and you can skip it without the Warlock Gate. But sometimes it doesn't happen and you just die there. Try to make people, like the rest of your group, go first, you know. Anyways, we're gonna do this big pack. We're just gonna blast it. So always be careful with those big skeleton guys. Just let your tank position stuff so you don't get cleaved down, because the cleave is probably going to one-shot you, you know. Yeah, so we're just gonna do our normal rotation. We still don't have our final reckoning. Kind of make a mistake there on my part. I should have waited for my cooldowns to line up, and they didn't. So I'm now using a final reckoning without any crusade, which takes a toll on my damage. I should be doing like 4 million AoE there, something like that. Anyways, we didn't get too punished because we got a small proc of crusade, which is nice. You know, this build is very forgiving because you have procs. If you miss your crusade, your main crusade window, you always can rely on those small procs to happen. Not always gonna save your mistake, but sometimes it happens and it's nice, you know. Now we're gonna do another big pull. I don't have my 1 minute cooldown, so I only have Wake of Ashes, so I'm just gonna send it and just try to rely on some extensions. I do get some nice extensions there. You see my 10-second wings gets another 5 seconds on top, and we just blast this pack down. Remember, Blade of Justice, Divine Storm, Blade of Justice, Divine Storm, and weave in some judgments in between. You're always gonna be top damage because it's really strong. Okay, here we're not top damage, but that's because we didn't have our 1 minute cooldowns. But for the most part, you should be top damage on AoE stuff. Okay, we're gonna fight these two little guys just by themselves. I think I get like hit by one of them. Yeah, I'm getting smacked by one of those guys. And they're dangerous if they start doing their channel ability on me, you know. This build is going to get you aggro sometimes because you don't really control the procs on your wings. Actually, you kind of do, because it only happens when you use Holy Power Spenders. I'm getting bone play there. I almost died. I'm fine. I should bubble and just keep going. Anyways, yeah, you kind of can control when you get wings. It only happens when you use a Holy Power Spender. So if you don't want to proc him, just don't spend, you know, just use a few builders instead. Even if you overcap, sometimes you don't want to proc your wings, let's say at a very end of a pack, because it feels bad to have them there. But for the most part, you shouldn't be like min-maxing that too much, you know. It's just something to have in mind. After that, we're gonna just blast this pack down. I was doing some padding there, because normally you want to just single target the big guy so the other skeletons die there. But you know, a little padding didn't hurt anyone. Anyways, we're gonna do the next boss. This is another like kind of AoE-ish fight with single target. The main boss is the big dragon that you have to kill, and then there's the little skeletons that spawn that have to be killed, or your group will wipe because they explode and they do a ton of damage. There's a small like tech here that you can do. If you stun the skeletons before they explode, they actually don't do any damage to the group, which is something to take in mind on higher levels of keys. If you can't kill the skellies with your AoE, you know, you can just stun them or CC them in any way, and if you do it before the cast of the boss goes off, you won't explode as a group, you know. Anyways, we're just gonna do our rotation here. Having the 30-second wings is pretty comfortable, I think, you know. You always have damage, which is pretty nice. Although you see the arcane mages destroying the packs there. I didn't have my main 1 minute wings plus crusade damage here, so we just had to go with raw crusade damage, which is fine, you know. Like I said, we're not the best of dealing single target stuff. I think the mages like do just really good cleave if they have the setup, especially the arcane mage variety. So now we're gonna get our 1 minute window with crusade wings in just a few seconds now here. Hopefully we can use it on these mobs. I get a proc there, which is not ideal because I got it in a moment where I didn't have too much holy power. But hopefully we can get some extensions here. Oof, we got hit by a lot of stuff there. Should be kicking that frost mage, kind of just tunneling on the boss. Anyways, we are going to use our 1 minute cooldowns here. I think I misplay a bit here. I forget to use my 1 minute stuff. I used it a bit too late. Now I'm just gonna save it for my next go on my Wake of Ashes Crusade. That's a bit of a misplay, Could have done more damage there, but I kind of saw the skellies that were dying. Also, the boss is literally dead here. It got melted, you know. Now we're going to go up to the Necropolis part. Fun fact, in BFA, this, not BFA, in Shadowlands, this was bugged, and you could actually send a rogue up there and make him aggro everything and drag all the mobs down where the angels are here. You know, you could snap them, and so you didn't play them up here. It's a pretty interesting tech, but to be honest, I don't like to see a lot of things like that because it just makes it so like normal groups try to do those strats and then they wipe because it does require a lot of planning. Here we're gonna do just a big pull, just the double pack here. That big abomination guy has to die. It's one of the primary targets. I'm kind of not thinking too much here. I'm just I want to kill the dude that does the gore cast, because that can also kill you if you're not paying attention. So I'm primary hitting him, but for the most part you should kill the abomination, because that does a ton of damage to your tank. It applies a stacking reduced armor debuff on your tank, so eventually he's going to die because he doesn't have anything to mitigate. Wake Capacity is really good here because all these guys are undead and we can stun them, which is pretty nice. I think it's the longest stun in the game, although it's like only to certain types of ads. Anyways, we keep doing our damage here. Just gonna do this little pack to recover. Tank I think needs some of his cooldowns to do the next pack. I think he does a double pack after this. And those abominations, like I said, hurt a lot. Your other primary target on this upper portion should be also always this other caster guy, because he does the gore cast. Sometimes people are distracted, you don't kick the thing, and it does a ton of damage to the whole group. Now we're gonna do this double pack here with the abomination, and we're gonna combine it with this pack on the right. If you're gonna do this double pull as a tank, pull the left side into the right side, because the left side really doesn't like to move, while the left side does move a bit better. Okay, so as I said before, try to make the big abomination your primary target and just kick or interrupt the gore cast so it doesn't AoE down your group. I think my tank here dies a bit because of the abominations. They do a ton of damage. Oh yeah, we got a gore cast there. You can see it does a ton of damage to the whole group, just a nasty dot on everyone. The tank survives. I think he dies on the next abominations, you know, not these packs, but the next two packs that appear. This upper part of the Necropolis is mostly 5-target cleave. You can't do too much about like doing big packs, because the packs are like set up that way. You can do big pulls, but it can be sometimes risky. Okay, so here is my death, you know. I'm just chilling here, and the mage blinks behind me with the with the cleaver, you know, and I just die because of that. Yeah, I felt a bit trolled there. Not gonna lie, he got me good there. Anyways, we die and we go back up. Sometimes happens, you know. I think he thought he got the other cleaver, you know, the one behind the dude that killed me, but he had the other one. So I just got a cleaver in my face. We just go up there and just keep pressing our buttons, you know. Just gonna use our 1-minute cooldowns with our Crusade combined. We got a nice extension there. So we have a full Crusade window with our final Reckoning. Let's kill this guy before it kills us. That cleaver does a ton of damage. So either have your tank in between you or have the mob, like the other Stitcher, to take the hit. Because as you saw there, I'm a paladin and I got one shot by it. We're supposed to be tanky, you know. Anyways, we go to the next abomination. Oh, these are the ones that are dangerous, you know. The other ones also apply that armor reduction to the tank, but these ones do more damage, you know. These are kind of named mobs, kind of like lieutenant mobs. So we're just gonna pop our cooldowns. We have a nice proc of Crusade there. Sadly, we don't have our main Crusade to extend the duration of it. Or I have to wait, you know. At this point, I'm just gonna save my Wake of Ashes Crusade for the next pack. think it's kind of a waste to use it. Although, in hindsight, I should have used it because my tank dies because of it. If we kill the lieutenant mob like faster, I think tank doesn't die there. Could have done a lot of things to save him there. To be honest, when I'm in the beta, I don't think too much of my utility stuff. Maybe I could have like sacked him or something like that. But in live service, you do want to save your tank because it's gonna time your keys. You know, in the beta we don't lose anything, as we can just set the key to whatever level. But in live servers, your key is gonna get downgraded, so you wanna try to save your tank to get those key times. Anyways, we do the next pack. This abomination is terrifying, by the way. If it looks at you, you pop a defensive. You pop out. If you're half health, you pop bubble or lay on hands or something, because it is gonna kill you. That spit that it does on you, it does a ton of damage. In the Shadowlands, we used to get the shield here. You know, there's a shield that's like dropped down there. And as paladins, we were extremely squishy. So we had like two options here. We had Shield of Vengeance, bubble. That was it. If you got targeted again by this thing, we were dead. So we normally picked up the shield down, that it gave us a 50% damage reduction to survive this guy. If you were unlucky and you got hit a lot. Tank dies there again. Yeah, I should have like sacked him or something. Anyways, you saw there that I got targeted with half health. I immediately bubble because I'm not gonna take a chance with that guy. It's a terrifying mob. This is one of the arguments of like more single targeted priority damage. Those types of mobs that are like lieutenants that are very dangerous. Now we're gonna fight the boss here. This is mostly like a 2-target cleave encounter. Sometimes you wanna just single target the boss though, if the abomination is about to die, because it does this pull. And there's a time where it can pull the boss like immediately after the transition. So you don't wanna kill the abomination too fast. Sometimes it happens with depending on the group. For example, this group has a pretty decent cleave. Retribution Paladins actually cleave with every single thing we do. I don't know how exactly Arcane Mages work, but I think they do have a cleave that's based on one of their main abilities, so they're pretty good at funnel damage. And he's just destroying the abomination. Gotta res the healer. I think he didn't move when the boss did its fixate. I get these orb thingies. To be honest, I don't like the Xalatat affixes. Personally, I'm not gonna see them too much because I'm probably going to be doing 12 on higher keys, and I'm happy about that. You know, they're kind of annoying. You know, all of these Xalatat affixes are kind of annoying. This one is especially annoying on bosses that don't like to move and that leave stuff on the ground, because sometimes you can't collect the stupid orbs. You know. But yeah, if you're gonna do like plus 12 keys and push, you're probably not gonna see these affixes a lot. We kind of missed the pull there. You want to get the pull on the other boss whenever you can, because it makes it so he doesn't like chase your group around. Or I could bubble him, you know, bop him. I think we missed there. Yeah, we missed. I should stop hitting that guy. But I'm also afraid that my tank dies because of those mutilates. He already died because of them on the trash before this. So I'm kind of scared that he also dies there because of stacking that armor reduction debuff. We missed the thing again. This is very dangerous on the tank because he can just get smacked after a mutilate. And we're also taking a lot of like dot damage here, so we have to like not miss the next pull. I think we got it here. Yeah, that guy moves fast. And we get the boss down, and he should die here. I have all my cooldowns ready just to finish him off. This is a dangerous situation. I think I should just single target here for the most part. Even though the tank is taking double mutilates. Just finishing up the boss I think is better. I could like, you know, AoE down those two big guys, but that would be just some extra padding. I prefer to finish the dungeon, you know. Now this last boss was very cheesable back in Shadowlands. I remember if you got hit, for example, with a tornado whenever he was throwing you down when we had storming, you could actually avoid getting thrown down there. You could bubble and also avoid getting sent down. But now I think they fixed everything. You can't bubble to avoid getting sent down. What you can do as a Retribution Paladin here is you can pre-Blessing of Freedom when he does that Frozen Bonds cast. I didn't do it there at the start. I'm just kind of focused on doing damage. Forgot to do it here. It's been a long time since I played this dungeon, so yeah, you kind of forget those things sometimes. Sadly, I get sent down, so I'm not doing literally anything. 0 damage to the boss. This is very annoying to do. Luckily, we have 2 charges of horse, so we can get to this guy and just kill him. Sometimes you can be super unlucky and get sent down twice in a row. I think they patched that though. I remember I read somewhere that you can't be sent twice in a row, but you never know, sometimes Blizzard breaks its own code and bugs happen. Okay, we gotta move fast here. And I remember that this guy puts a bunch of ice after you get sent down. So I almost killed my whole group there, but I remember at the last second and moved back, to try to put it in a place where my group is not there. We just keep doing damage to the boss, avoiding getting stacks on the boss on those balls from Zaladath. Try to absorb them. He gets some of them. It shouldn't be too bad. This is what I mean, some of these bosses are annoying with those affixes because they don't move and they put a lot of crap, so sometimes you can't get the orbs. This time I do use my Blessing of Freedom on myself, for my frozen bones. So it doesn't do anything. We don't have to move, and there's no one that has the big circle around him. Boss should be dead now. He's almost dead. I just bubble here. My Blessing of Freedom was a bit off, like by 1 second, so we don't get the frozen bones cast on myself. And the boss is dead, and that's pretty much the key. We're still missing a bit of percentage, so we're just gonna go down there and kill one dude. That way we can see the overall of the run, and we can analyze that after. So let's just blast this little harvester here. Oh yeah, that's the shield, by the way. You see there on the ground? That's glowing, that little shield. You can always take that if you feel that you need an extra defensive in a certain part of this dungeon. It's pretty helpful. Now that we don't stack versatility, some extra defense is pretty nice. And well, that's the overall of the dungeon. Now let's go to analyze it. Okay guys, here we are at Storming. Now we can analyze this overall. So, Divine Storm, it's huge. The changes that Blizzard recently made buffed it by 25%. So basically they gave us free 5% damage from that change alone here, if we take into account the damage that I did in this dungeon. After that, Blade of Justice, they buffed this again by 25%, but they didn't buff the whole Blade of Justice. They only buffed the Blade of Vengeance part, so the AoE one. So that was around a 3% gain from that buff. Expurgation, they nerfed it by 10%. If we take account this damage that we did here, that means that it's like a 0.8% damage loss that we got from that change. Wake of Ashes was unchanged. Judgment got like around a 1% buff from the change they did to Blessed Champion, making it now reduced by 25% instead of 50%. Truth's Wake was unchanged. After that, we have Final Verdict. Final Verdict got a 10% nerf in the recent changes. So currently in this overall, it did 5.4% of our damage. So if we take that in account, we basically lost like 0.5% damage, which is literally nothing. Crusading Strikes, it got buffed. It got buffed by around 1%. I would say like 0.8% damage here. So we got that extra buff from Blessed Champion change. Sun's Avatar, it got buffed by 20%, so it's gaining around 0.8% extra damage there. Downlight unchanged, they didn't do anything to that. High Lord's Judgment also unchanged. Consecration unchanged. Searing Light unchanged. And Hammer of Wrath was nerfed by 15%. As you can see, in my overall, Hammer of Wrath is very little, it's 2.2%, so that loss was around 0.2% damage. If you compare damage gains from damage losses from the last changes, you can see that yeah, this change was an overwhelming buff, to our AoE damage. The losses in single target are very small compared to the gains we got in AoE. So yeah, Blizzard wants Retribution Paladins to be monsters in AoE, and I kind of understand their logic because of how they are tuning dungeons in the thewarwithin. These dungeons are going to require both AoE and single target classes, so group compositions are probably going to be like 2 classes that can do single target, 1 class that can do like really great AoE, or 2 classes that can do like full AoE and 1 that just is on priority damage. So yeah, don't worry about the changes that Retribution Paladin had. We are going to be useful in the War Within. We are going to have our place, and that place is mostly going to be blasting and AoE damage. And well guys, that's going to be the video for today. I hope it was useful and you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching everyone.